Well, I guess this cements my channel status as pretty much focusing on Mando stuff. While it's no secret that I'm a much more avid fan of the Legends continuity than the current Star Wars canon, if there's one piece of upcoming media that I think has potential, it has to be The Mandalorian. Why, you may ask? Well, and again, this is just my opinion, but for starters, the casting looks real solid. Pedro Pascal is a brilliant actor, and Gina Carano is excellent as well, but I think Carl Weathers might just steal the show. But I think the main reason is Jon Favreau.
Have you guys seen the film Chef?
Favreau has a great track record of respecting source material, so I have no doubt he'll do his damnedest to get this right. I mean, he kicked off the brilliant Marvel Cinematic Universe, and with any luck, he just might kick off a new era for Star Wars. If the interviews and clips shown at Star Wars Celebration are any indication, I think that we might just have something special coming. And, no, I'm not biased at all. With that out of the way, let's get onto the list, shall we? One of the most interesting defining features of the Mandalorian people in Legends was the fact that they didn't care about things like bloodline and background, including species. In fact, in Legends, the first Mandalorians were entirely alien. The Taung species were the backbone of the culture, but slowly assimilated members of species like the Mandalorians, Togorians, and humans, which would eventually become the most popular species in the culture. In contrast, in the new canon, it seems the Mandoade are entirely human without a single alien in sight. I hope that The Mandalorian corrects this, as it just adds more nuance to the culture. Think of what a glorious sight it would be to finally see a Wookiee Mando. Judging from the footage at Celebration, it looks like they've done away with the ridiculous notion that the Empire just completely dissolved a year after Endor. With Imperial warlords about, the New Republic isn't just going to stand around and let them do their thing. Maybe the Mandalorian is caught in the crossfire between a Republic Black Ops unit trying to eliminate some Imperial officer who's carved out a little corner of space for himself? Though, I don't imagine the budget will allow for too much space combat. Sorry, Rogue Squadron fans. But there's a lot of possibilities to see the darker side of the good guys, like in Rogue One. It's no secret that one of the more derided facets of the prequel trilogy, and more specifically The Phantom Menace, was the emphasis placed on the political discourse in the Galactic Senate. However, such things can be done very well in Star Wars. Simply look at the Darth Plagueis novel. But even disregarding that, I do want something different in Mando clan interactions. In behind-the-scenes material and interviews in the later seasons of Star Wars Rebels, there was a lot of talk of how Mandalorian society was supposedly very Game of Thrones-esque, but the only influence I saw was simply that apparently greater clans are called houses, like in GOT. If you stretch it, there's also the introduction of aristocratic titles like Countess and Duke, but that was also in the Clone Wars. I'd really like to see some cutthroat political maneuvering like, well, the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones. Maybe I should just say A Song of Ice and Fire. Maybe since the liberation of Mandalore from the Empire, there's been a power vacuum with various clans scrambling to gain power. Perhaps our mysterious main character is trying to distance himself from that, but is eventually forced to accept his responsibility to his clan? Just an idea. Even in the new continuity, the Mandalorians are an ancient people. If there's one place we're going to get some glimpses of how the galaxy was in the distant past, it might be here. Barring, of course, the Knights of the Old Republic show, which is supposedly coming, and I don't have high hopes for. Anyway, since we see a Neo Crusader helmet in an episode of TCW, maybe we could have some elaboration on that organization. The closer to Legends, the better. I don't think we'll be seeing the Darksaber in the show, but I'd be down for some other ancient artifacts. Seeing Mandalore the Ultimate's battle axe, for example, even in the background, would make me extremely happy. people in charge of Star Wars nowadays seem to not be fans of our favorite bounty hunter. There's constant talk of how he's quote-unquote lame, isn't as cool as Cad Bane, and never accomplished anything. And the sad thing is, they're not entirely wrong, at least for their new continuity. Legends Fett was an absolute, well, legend, with tons of stories about his most daring escapades and hard choices to make. But in the new canon, all he's done is what he's done in the movies, basically. And the little he's done elsewhere is straight up cringeworthy. I mean, really, look at this monologue. This was written by one of the geniuses behind Batman the Animated Series? Really? Jesus. So, new canon Fett is in serious need of redemption in terms of his coolness. And our enigmatic protagonist getting some mentoring from the original Hunter could be really cool. So, those are my thoughts on some cool things we could see in the upcoming show. If you've got any ideas for the show, feel free to leave said idea down in the comments. Until next time, Vode, Retur Shemi.